Hey guys, it's Bree with Arco Ranch. It is now the end of July and we are ready to do our July garden tour. We are gardening in North Texas in Zone 8A. We have been under an extreme heat advisory here. We've had temperatures up to 107, extremely hot, really miserable, no rain at all whatsoever, and unfortunately the garden is suffering because of it. A lot of my flowers in the exterior beds are not looking good at all whatsoever, and we have actually had to pull out several of the plants inside the garden as well. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how everything's doing. We're gonna go ahead and start inside the garden fence first. Now the first bed I'm gonna show y'all is my pepper bed. Now this is the only bed that still is somewhat doing okay, although you can tell the plants are a little stressed. I have not watered yet today, so that's probably definitely why. But there are at least peppers on there, but not as many as I would like, unfortunately. Let's take a look. You can see the ones in the front, in the middle are the ones that I started, and this one on the far right. They're still a lot smaller than the other ones, as you can see, but the other plants are doing okay. And you can see they do have a lot of peppers on them. Those ones are getting, I don't know if that's sunburn or if they're just fading. I wouldn't think it's ready yet because it's really, really small. But we do have some bigger ones over here as well. And then even on this plant as well. So you can see these ones, they don't look very well. Now I don't know for sure if this one is a jalapeno, because you can see the peppers are standing straight up on this plant, and you can see on all these other plants the peppers are hanging down like that. So I'm not sure exactly on those, but these back ones over here are our poblano peppers, and no peppers on them. I did harvest one on one of the plants, but you can see that we do have some buds starting on it, so hopefully these plants do okay. Unfortunately, the marigolds are not looking good at all whatsoever. I wouldn't say they're completely dead. I mean, you can see this one has some really pretty flowers on it, and the greens look okay on this one, but you can see that one does not look good at all whatsoever. The wind has been pretty strong, and so unfortunately this plant is laying over, but this plant still has some flowers on it, and this is the one that I actually harvested a pepper on. You can see some more of the peppers over here on this side as well, and more of the dead marigolds. Over here in this bed is where I had my tomatoes. As you can see, they are no longer there. The only thing currently in this bed are the zinnias that I planted in the middle. And the one in the middle is actually doing really, really good, but the other two aren't looking the best. And then this is actually a marigold that I've started from seed. And there is another one over there, but it's not looking too good. And unfortunately, all the marigolds that I planted are not looking good at all whatsoever. The tomato plants were starting to look really, really bad. I have actually harvested a few tomatoes on them. The Romas were the ones that I harvested the most off of. The big slicers, they were not doing good at all whatsoever. So those, I went ahead and just pulled them all out. Total, I think I've probably gotten maybe a gallon, a Ziploc bag full of the Roma tomatoes. Not as many as I was expecting, and obviously not really enough to really do any kind of canning with, but I did get a few, but I was ready to go ahead and pull all those plants out. They were looking really, really bad. Now I could probably do another planting of tomatoes, but I've decided I'm not going to. I did think about possibly trying to get some okra to start growing in here, but I haven't planted anything in here. With it being so hot, I haven't wanted to spend much time out here at all. So this bed is going to stay with the zinnias and a few marigolds for now. Now over here in the strawberry bed, the strawberries are not doing good at all whatsoever. Last week I did come out and pull out or cut off all the dead flowers, but looking at it now, there are actually quite a few more, not flowers, the leaves. There are quite a few more dead leaves on there, and the blueberries aren't looking too good either. Now the fig tree is actually doing really, really good. You can see my sad strawberries in the middle there. There is a frog down in there. I'm not going to mess with him right now, but that's what that hole is right there. So my blueberries, this one still has some berries on it, surprisingly, but they're not turning blue, so I don't know what's going on there. That's that pepper plant that my daughter planted, and as you can see, it's struggling. This blueberry plant is doing even worse. You can see all the leaves are getting all crispy on the ends here. But you can see the fig tree is actually doing really, really good. Now I don't see any figs on it at all whatsoever. And I am noticing some of the leaves are getting, I don't know if that's powdery mildew or what that is, but that's starting to look a little bad. And then this blueberry bush is doing really bad. I probably need to put some more I think it's soil acidifier in it, but I'm not sure. But if you have any advice, let me know down in the comments on that. Over here in this bed is where I had the huge sunflower. I went ahead and cut it down. That thing was not looking good at all whatsoever. These are the zinnias that I had already planted from started plants. You can see they're starting to get powdery mildew as well. Those are all the zinnias that I started from seed, and so are these ones right here. Now, unfortunately, you can see something is eating them, and it looks like spiders are making webs inside the nest or inside the leaves right here. And then, oh, well, there's creepy crawly right there. But you can see I'm gonna have a flower hopefully soon on that one, and then this one right here. The habaneros, I think those are just done. Those are so sad looking. I don't think they're gonna make a recovery. And then the marigolds are also dying as well. And this is the extra tomato plant that I stuck over here. And this one actually doesn't look too terrible. So we do have some blossoms right there, but because it's so hot, I don't know if they're gonna actually do anything or not. And there's some more blossoms up here as well. But I'm gonna leave that plant and just see what happens, and fingers crossed, maybe I'll get a couple tomatoes on there. Over in this bed, unfortunately, I did lose all of the nasturtiums. These peppers, I think, are also habaneros, and you can see not looking good. And then my echinacea, I don't know what's going on with that. Every time I try to grow echinacea, that's how it turns out. And if you do research, it shows that echinacea is one of the easiest perennials to grow. I have failed every single time I've tried to grow it. Now, I haven't started it from seed. They've always been started plants, but I don't know what's going on. So if you have any advice for me, let me know. I know that does say they are susceptible to getting fungus and stuff, so they recommend not getting the leaves wet. And I think with the watering that we've been doing, it has been getting the leaves wet, but I don't know if that's really the only reason why it's doing this or what. But I am not having any success with the echinacea. Now, I do have some sunflowers. I did pull, I think, 4 of them out that I had transplanted that weren't doing good, but this one in the middle has already bloomed, and look how beautiful it is. Hopefully I know there's ants all over it. Oh, and there was a spider right there. But look how beautiful that is. Something's eating the petals. And then we do have this one right here that is going to have a bloom on it as well. Now, this is that my oregano? I think that might be my oregano. It's not doing too bad. This pepper right here, I think this is a poblano. It's hanging on. And then we have some beautiful zinnias right here. There's this one. These are the Queen Lime zinnias. And then we also have that one right there. That on the other side is my parsley, and you can see it's definitely struggling. And then I think this is the amaranth. I'm not 100% positive, but I know I planted some of that here, but there's not any other stuff growing. Well, actually, I see one pink thing way over there. But this is the only one that's actually doing something, so we'll see how that goes. But these zinnias are just absolutely beautiful. Over here in the middle bed is where I had the other tall sunflower. As you can see, I cut it down as well. The wind had gotten, oh, look, there's a butterfly. I haven't been outside much to enjoy the pollinators, and so I was very happy to just see that really pretty butterfly. She's flying all around the garden now. So that sunflower in the middle, the wind had completely blown it over. It was probably like leaning like this. So I went ahead and just got rid of that. It didn't look very pretty at all. The flowers were still looking okay, but I was not happy with that anymore. Now in this bed, I also have some peppers and some zinnias and some Swiss chard, but I don't think I've been watering enough for the Swiss chard, and let me show you why I think that. You can see it is starting to grow, but then it is dying. And then I do have some more right there. And then looks like these ones just popped up. So I need to try to keep up with the watering on that. Something ate this pepper all the way down to a stick. and they are working on eating this one down to a stick, although there is, I think, yep, there's a flower bud right there. So we'll see what happens to that. My sage is actually looking really, really nice. It's dying on the bottom here, but you can see how great the top looks. So that's really, really nice. On the side over here, we do have some zinnias. This one's getting ready to open. This one, you can see the leaves are looking a little rough, so I need to get that one some water. And then we have another bud right there, and then look at that beautiful flower. Really, really pretty. These are my peanuts, and I don't know when to harvest them, but there are flowers all over it. I've seen quite a few flowers on it, so I need to do some research and see when to actually harvest that. But I'm very happy to see that growing. My sweet peas in the middle did get all crispy and died. And then this is one of my basils, I think. It's got some really, really pretty flowers there. I've been trying to pull the flowers off. So definitely not as exciting as I would have hoped to have been this year with my garden. But, I mean, there are at least some things doing good. And, you know, I just have not been able to water as much as I would like to. Now, we do have a drip system, but I quickly realized last year the drip irrigation system worked excellent. This year, I guess some of the emitters have gotten clogged or something, I don't know, but not all the emitters were working, and so we got these other little sprayers and put one in the middle of each bed that was supposed to spray 3 feet all the way around. That's a joke, it barely even sprays 1 foot, so those aren't working. And so I've been actually coming out here, me or my husband, luckily he's been helping a lot. We've been trying to come out here and hand water every single night, and it's miserable. It's 6 o'clock, well, it's probably a little bit later now, and it's still 104 degrees out here. Luckily I am in the shade, but it's miserable. You can see I'm already getting hot. So, you know, I'm just trying to keep everything alive, and, you know, if I lose some things, I lose some things. I'll just have to start over next year. I am planning on doing a fall garden. I need to decide exactly what all I'm planting, but I know what I need to do for sure is get some amendments in these beds. I think the soil is definitely struggling as well. I think that's been causing some of the issues. Well, it's actually been a little bit because my camera got so hot that it shut off. So I went ahead and watered everything. Now I'm not going to spend too much time showing you all my flower beds here. Actually, on this side, I'm not going to show you any of it because it all looks like it's dying. And then same thing over here on this side. None of that looks really good either. So the only thing that is doing somewhat okay is I do have my red noodle bean right here. I did actually get 1 bean on it, and so I'm just waiting for it to, oh look, here's actually another bean. So it is starting to grow a second bean for me. My passion vines did actually come back and are growing up the trellis here. You can see that one right there. They're not looking the best. This one did actually have a flower on it, but I didn't get a video of that, so can't show y'all that. But yeah, so these 2 flower beds not looking good, unfortunately. On the other side, it is definitely looking a little bit better, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we have our canna lilies, which you can see is definitely getting a lot taller than it was in the last video. You can see it's about to have another bloom right there. My beauty berry is starting to get flowers on it, but you can see there's buds all over this plant. This has gotten really, really big. That, I think, is my lavender. I didn't even see that under there. It's dying. My salvia, I cut it back. It does look like it's starting to grow back, so hopefully that does. This was my variegated thyme. It's a goner. But lantana is doing excellent. So I might need to get more of that. And then, looking okay. My hyssop is doing really, really good. We got a nice bee right there. Oh, and a wasp right next to it. Don't want to get stung, so let's keep moving. I did cut my pincushion flowers back, but you can see it is starting to push more blooms, so that will be beautiful. Oh, I saw that earlier. This is a peach. We'll go ahead and look at that. My peach tree has gotten really big, but what I've noticed is it's starting to drop its fruit, and birds and bunnies are eating it. But see if I can show you. The peaches are not ready to be harvested yet. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's losing all the peaches. But yeah, those are getting eaten. Something, oh look, there's another one. There's one there, a bunch there. Yeah, that's not good. My salvia is doing really good. Got beautiful flowers on it. This is my chives. Remember, I just watered, so everything's a little flat. I did have some blossoms on it. Lemon balm, it's trying to hang on. And then we do have a garden spider. I'll try to get a better view of her. My rose bush is starting to get a little sick on the bottom, but it's still pushing out tons of new growth. And we did just have a couple blooms on it. So fingers crossed, you can see it's getting worse on this side. But fingers crossed it holds on. And then let me zoom in. There's my garden spider there in the middle. See if we'll focus on her. I love seeing those big giant orb weavers as long as they're not in spots that I have to walk in. And she's in between the roses and the fence, so luckily I don't have to walk into her. But yeah, I'm really discouraged about my peach tree. Last year was the first year we got peaches on it, and I think I got 3 or 4 peaches. This year, tons of peaches on it, but now the birds and the bunnies are getting them and I'm not enjoying them yet. So any advice on that, please let me know. Now, one major decision that I decided to make was to eliminate this whole area. These were the 3 beds that I called the kids' beds, and unfortunately strawberries are all dying. These strawberries are dying, and these flowers aren't looking too good. These are not set up on drip irrigation, so I went ahead and just took the beds out and temporarily just moved them over there. And then I also got rid of my tower in the corner over there, my other tower over there, and my chairs. And I'm going to be removing all of the stepping stones and all of the rocks around the border here. And then pulling up the weed fabric that didn't help, as you can see. And then we're just gonna keep these 3 beds right here, and the kids can plant stuff in those beds. If you've been following along with me, you know that I have had basically 0 success growing anything in those 3 beds. And since the kids' beds that were on the ground, they were not on irrigation, and then also all the strawberries were getting eaten by ants and then bunnies, I just decided, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and downsize a little bit? Get rid of those 3 beds. The kids can plant stuff in there, and that way those boxes are on drip, and fingers crossed, hopefully I can actually get something to grow in there. As you can see, that is still in the sun right now. So that gets sun from probably 10, 11-ish all the way until the sun goes down, and it being right up against the house right there, it is extremely hot over there. So I was basically never sitting in the chairs. So I actually moved the chairs back there in the garden, so I had a nice place to sit in the garden. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and downsize. I also had 2 pots over there as well, and those are over there, and they're not doing too good. There was salvia in there. So basically, I am trying to get rid of anything that's not on irrigation. So everything around the house was, but none of the pots were. So I actually removed the pots that were on the septic tank covers as well. I put those in the front. Those, they had the Texas sage, I think, in them. They're still not on drip, but there's a hose reel right next to those, so I could easily water those. And those also are in the shade, I think 1, 2 o'clock-ish on, so they don't get the extreme end of the day heat. So fingers crossed the pots will do better up there. But yeah, I am just deciding I want to downsize. So since that area, even though it had the weed fabric, it's filling up with weeds. I was doing really good keeping up with weeding the area, and then it just got away from me, and I decided, you know what, it's just not worth it. Having the 3 kids' beds on the ground, and then having those 3 beds, and then the tall beds not ever really growing anything, I had too much. So I decided just to simplify and just get rid of some stuff. And I didn't want to, you know, we had put all that work setting up that whole area, but I wasn't sitting over there because it was too hot in the evenings, and the kids weren't wanting to water their beds, and I wasn't watering them as much as I should have. So if it's not on drip irrigation, I'm just not gonna have it, basically. Except for I do have the galvanized pots on the corners. I do actually want to run irrigation to those. I don't have anything in that one over there, but still. So yeah, just decided it was time to go ahead and downsize a little bit, and I think that's okay. If you have too much going on, don't be afraid to change it and get rid of it. Not having to weed that area and not having to worry about the kids' beds in the ground over there. You know, the other beds are on irrigation, so that's, you know, one less thing to worry about. And then now my husband will just be able to mow over there and then weed whack around the beds. You know, I think that's why most of those weeds got in that bed, was because he was mowing and all the stuff was flying into the bed. And then the other beds were too close to each other, so he couldn't mow in between there. So they were weed whacking, and same thing, I think all the stuff was flying into the beds because they were on the ground, and that's why all that grass is growing in there as well. So it's just gonna make my life easier, it's gonna make my husband's life easier, and I think overall it's just gonna be a win-win if I can actually get something to grow in those 3 beds. Well, unfortunately, my camera keeps shutting off because it's getting too hot. So I think I am going to go ahead and end this video. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.